Hello guys, welcome to today's video. I'm going to give us a little bit of introduction on getting started with Flutter. Okay, so Flutter is a cross-platform solution used to build mobile apps, web apps, desktop apps, Mac OS app, Linux apps. In fact, it's used for a lot of different applications, but majorly it's used for cross-platform mobile apps because that's where it actually shines. It's not as good on the web and the desktop and Linux versions as it is on the mobile versions. Okay, so let's get started. How do you get started with Flutter? First thing you do is to go to flutter.dev, right? And you'd want to just follow the instructions that are written on there. All right, so you're going to get to this screen and you'd want to go to this docs, and then you're going to install Flutter. You're going to see a bunch of instructions on how to go about that. You just have to follow through. First thing you're going to do is pick you're going to pick your platform. So currently we're on Windows. If you're on Mac, you pick Mac. If you're on Linux, you pick Linux. Chrome OS, you pick Chrome. Then you're going to pick Windows, and then you're going to pick the platform you want to build on first, right? And most times you're going to pick Android, and then you're going to follow the instructions just as written here. First thing you want to do is to go to this, download Git for Windows, download Android Studio and set it up. That's going to be on a different video that will be linked. Then just follow through. All right, and another way for you to do that is by opening your Visual Studio Code, and if it's not installed already, you can just go to your extensions, search for Flutter. When you search for Flutter, it's going to bring the Flutter extension here for you to install, and you're going to just pick it up, right? Okay, it's already installed, so there's really nothing for you to do. Just get here, get your forward card, and type on new project. So it's going to bring in a pop-up for you right here to install Flutter, so you can follow that process. So make sure you have good internet connection while you do that, so you don't get interrupted and potentially corrupt your installations, right? So you can just do that, then just follow through with this. So when you download, if you want to follow through with the manual download, you just download it. When you download the file, you'd where should that be? Okay, so instead of using VS Code, you can just download it. You're going to get the downloaded file, then you select a location. So I'm using this my default location, my user location, and then you're going to see Flutter here. So that's where I put it in. Then after doing that, you'd want to go and you'd want to check your environment variables, and you want to check your environment variables. You go to environment variables, then you select the path, edit, and click on new, and then you paste in the path to the bin folder. So you're going to see that bin folder right here. Okay, so you're going to go into the Flutter folder, this PC. You're going to go to the Flutter folder. You're going to have Flutter, and then you're going to go to the bin folder, then you click on this point here, and then you copy it. I'm going to also do for how to set it up with Mac, right? And I'm going to do that on a fresh install because it's kind of a little bit different setting it up on a Mac, right? So you just add that. What I usually do is I usually add it to both the system and the um, and the system and the user variables, but I just leave it. You can just leave it for this one. You don't really need to do that. Okay, so when you finish installing that, then you can go to your Visual Studio Code. So you make sure you install your Android Studio, you set up your emulator. That video is going to be linked separately, it's going to be created separately, so that in fact it's going to come with the setup for Mac, right? And when it's going to come, you're going to see the video. So before we go ahead, just kindly like, subscribe, and also share to your friends if you do like the video. Let's go ahead with the remaining things, with the other things to do. So you can just come and say create new project, same new project that you clicked on the other time, and then you just have to select a location. So I'm going to click on, okay, let's start again. New project, and then you're going to select an application. You can actually select a empty application. It won't come with all the tests and everything. You can just go with skeleton and others, but we're going to go with this application because when we're doing our practicals with this, we're going to be going with test-driven development, right? So we're going to write our test or unit test, and then we're going to incrementally do that. It's going to actually help you to build a culture of writing test-driven development code in Flutter. So you're going to click that, you're going to select a location, and we're going to call it example application. I don't know, anything you want to actually call it, you're going to call it. Okay, okay, no problem. I think we're supposed to just select and then we're going to name it. Sorry about that. And then it's going to create the file. So you're going to wait for it to create the code. You're just going to wait for it to create the application code base. All right. So secondly, you want to choose a device. You're going to pick a device from this point. Remember, the full installation video is going to be done later. It's going to be done soon. In a few days time it's going to be ready. So you just have to follow this for just a demo. So this is just launching the emulator. Now you can see here it is starting up. Okay, there's an app before now, so you can just put at this point, then we get the emulator, just this, and now it's not going to, it's just going to, you're just going to wait for it to finish loading up, and then you can just click on this run here, and then it's going to run the code and build your app. I'll just click on it, right, and select it. There's really no time for that. Time to wait for. So yeah, so now let's look at the structure. While this loads, let's look at the structure of your project. So you are going to be met with this as your base project, and we can just hide this, but let me just leave that for now. This build is going to contain the build of whatever. So if you build web, it's going to be inside of this folder. That is, the build files will be here. Android build files will be here. iOS, macOS, all build files will be here. And you're not meant to edit this folder, right? It's only meant to be used by Flutter itself. So it's kind of a default folder, so you don't tamper with it. This Android folder is where you touch or adjust anything that has to do with Android, right? I think there should be an iOS folder. There is an iOS folder too. There should be an iOS folder, but it's not here currently. But if you set up if you set up your Flutter on an iOS system, on a Mac OS system, it's going to have an iOS folder. So you can actually make your adjustments to the iOS aspect of the app from that folder. So this is for Android, and you can see here you can adjust for people that are coming from Jetpack Compose, Android native. You actually know that you've seen this before, so it's just for your configurations. SRC, you go into the main. If you're looking for your manifest file, this is where you see your manifest file, right? And then so it's going to have multiple things here. If you want to change icons and all the rest, you get in here. So that is for Android. Then this lib is where all your code will be. So all your structures, if you want to use the MVC pattern, if you want to use MVVM patterns, any pattern, any architecture you want to use, clean architecture, whatever you want to use, all your code is going to be inside of this folder, right? Not outside, inside of this folder. Then this test tool is going to contain your test folder, right? It's going to contain your test codes. Then this web here is going to contain your web assets, right? Icons, different things, just same way this Android folder is. So you change things that have to do with your Android specifically, same way you're going to change things that have to do with your web specifically here. So if you want to change your fav icon and all the rest, so you change all those stuff here. It's not like you're going to write any code that has to do with that platform unless it's required for you to do so. So there are some few things that actually require you to write native code on those platforms, but those are usually high level things, so you don't really need to bother. And this git ignore is going to contain files that you don't really need to push to GitHub. Those files might be build files, which are usually heavy, so it doesn't make sense to have them in your GitHub. All right, so then you have your metadata. This is also another one you don't want to touch, so you leave your metadata there. Analysis option is actually the one you write all your lints. So some few things, let me see if there is anything. Okay, nothing is linted for now, but this is where you write all your lints, right? So if you don't want certain things, you want to flag some kind of, let's say, syntax error or whatever, you're going to write those rules inside of these analysis options. Then your pubspec.yaml, this is where you have all your dependencies, dev dependencies, your regular dependencies. In fact, things you're going to depend on in your project, different packages that you want to use. For any, like say you want to create a custom UI or something, or you want to just plug in someone's already made custom UI that is available, you can just have it, put it inside here and make use of it in your code. So more of that would come later. Then your readme.md for your documentations. All right, so how do we get dependencies? Dependencies are gotten through Flutter's pub.dev. So if you want to get your dependencies, we get them from pub.dev. So you can come here, you have something in mind that you feel like you want to do, but you don't really know how to go about it, and you want to check if there's a package for it. You can just search, let's say you search for custom text field. I believe there should be a custom text field somewhere, right? Right, so you see this one now is kind of, so you're going to see images that have to do with that text field. Okay, they didn't put for this, but you get the point. You're going to see all, you're going to see that all that has to do with that particular package, how to use it, how to install it in your code, how to make use of it, and maybe even limitations that come into place. So for coding for Flutter, there are a couple of packages that are kind of essentials for you to use. There is DO for network requests, or HTTPS, or and then you have, I think, retrofit is a client based something. So you can use retrofit, although I don't really use retrofit for most of projects. There's some specific projects that you actually use retrofit, unless retrofit has to be used, right? And SVG pictures, SVG pictures. Um, there is shared preferences or secure storage. I think these are the major packages that you're going to actually make use of at the early stages of your development. Oh yeah, and then you have Flutter Screen Util. All right, so these are like kind of the basic packages that are going to help you actually get your application up and running. So you want to search for them. I don't think you can search for them like this, but you really want to search for them and have something cool. Yeah, I knew that it wasn't sure. So you want to search and make use of them. Thank you. So let's just check if what we're running has made any progress. Okay, no progress yet. I think is this importing root project. There's the issue. Okay. Okay, so that is that for that. So let's say you want to learn how to make use of that. Um, you can actually do the same. Let's say you want to learn how to make use of that. You can actually go into this, and same way you started Flutter app, you can just write new project, and you're going to see that, and you click on it. It's going to tell you to get blah blah blah. Just hold on, ready to load. So you can be able to choose if it's just a bare bones application, a command line application, a console, Dart package, or a server app. All right. So for a CLI, for a command line application, that is usually where you want to be practicing your Dart. So, but if you don't want to go through that stress, you can just simply come to that pad. Okay, so when you go into that part, you're going to see a couple of options there, and what you want to do is to select this one, this dartpad.dev. That's the one that is endorsed by Flutter, if not owned by Flutter. In fact, it is owned by Flutter. What am I saying? So you just go to dartpad.dev, and you can make use of Flutter. You can adjust your code in Dart. You can learn how to write Dart, right? And it's actually very, very beautiful. All right, to make use of. You just type in your code, and you click on run, and then it runs and gives you the result right here. All right, so I really don't know, but most times mine doesn't really bring out any results. I don't know if there's anything special with my computer, but it's supposed to get a result here, right here. Okay, and one beautiful thing about this Dart is that you can actually make use of whatever Flutter and Dart versions you have on your phone, on your system. Okay, so you can click here, and then you can choose, and you can also choose any what's the name, any you can actually choose any packages that you want to make use of. And then you can also come here, choose whether you want the beta main or the stable channel. It's actually very nice. It's good for practicing, and then you can come try out a sample. Let's see Fibonacci, and it's going to get the Fibonacci. You can run it for the Fibonacci sequence. And we're just going to wait for the app to complete its run, and we'll be right back.